Right then, I'm usually way more excited when we start a new build. Usually it's fun, it's purely just my hobby, it's what I do pretty much every other day, and it's something that I'm really excited about doing. This one, on the other hand, is a little bit different. If you've been following the channel for a little while, I've mentioned it a couple of times, it's been in a couple of videos, that I'm going to be riding 100 miles during the Ride London event in London this year. Actually, from when this video goes live, it is a week left until I do it. I've undernards about which bike I'd be using, kind of what build to do and whatever else, and I've decided I'm going to do it on a 26-inch mountain bike. I know that's a dumb idea. I know that it's probably going to be hard work, but I like a challenge. So today's video is me building that bike. The 100-mile bike is what I'm calling it. I'm hoping I'll be able to ride it further than that in the future, but as long as it lasts 100 miles, then we're good. We've got a lot to cover, so I'm not going to ramble on too much in this video, and let's just get to the build. So here's a rare treat. I'm actually going to be building my bike indoors. Well, the first half of it anyway. But this is my Scott Impulse that I bought in an impulse. So here it is, the Scott Impulse. It's a super cool metallic purple sort of colour. This is before I've T-cutted it as well. It looks super good. It's a large, so a 19-inch frame. It came with brakes on it as well, which I thought was pretty cool, and a pretty crusty looking fork, which is 1/1/8 inch, so we can replace that with something cool, which we will do that. It had a little shark's fin on the back, which is cool. It's really soft and quite old and disgusting, so I don't know if I'll keep it on here, but I'll keep it for something else, I'm sure. And yeah, that's it. It's a pretty sick bike, but let's make it cooler. So first things first was removing the fork and the headset. This bike came from a bike shop. I don't actually remember the name of the shop, but I bought it on eBay and it was very clearly a bike shop. So I think they've had it apart already at one point because everything was greased and felt pretty good. But we do have a new fork we want to put on this, so we've taken this headset out and putting something else in. The brakes as well, I want to take these off. These brakes, again, pretty nice looking. There's not too much crap on them. I'm going to kind of clean them up. I'm not going to do a big restore job because I haven't really got a lot of time, if I'm honest. But I did decide to get the T-cut out in the end and give it a good bit of polishing. Try and get some of that paint restored as much as I could anyway with the time I had. T-cuts works pretty well anyway, so I just kind of put it on wet with a cloth first and then wipe it down with a dry cloth. That's what I'm getting at. And as you can see, it comes out pretty gleaming. Next was back onto the headset. This is just a pretty generic headset I got, but it looked kind of like a Chris King one. So I figured I'd give it a go, but the bearings, everything feels really good in it. I can't remember exactly what it's called. The fork, on the other hand, I do know what it is. This is from Atelier Medium. It's a French, Paris-based company that makes some cool chain rings that I've shared in the past. This is a fork they actually sent me at Christmas time as a little gift, and I've not got around to making anything with it until right now. So sorry guys, but finally it's getting some love, and oh my god, does it look good on this bike. The stack took some time to kind of sort out. I put this little hanger on there because I am going to put those canties back on this bike, and the stem itself, and then I ended up fiddling with this for a long time before I decided to cut the fork, especially when it's a fork like this that they haven't actually released yet, so I can't just buy another one. You need to be careful with them, and then when I do cut it, I use an old stem, or a stem I hate, to kind of give me a straight line because I don't have anything fancy to cut it with. And then keep the stem on when you file off the edges to make it smooth, and then pull it off. Here's another piece that I've been holding on for a while. It's this Bentley Components top cap. I've had this for ages now and I keep putting it off, and finally found the right bite for it. Although I did find a purple bolt to put on top, just I thought it kind of tied it in a little bit nicer. But yeah, awesome handmade component. On the rear they had this kind of integrated hanger, like swing thing. I've never used one of these before. I thought it'd be really complicated, but it's really not. It just kind of links all up and it's easy to set up. But then greased up the posts, get the brakes on. I've put some nice fresh brake pads on this as well. Canties with good pads on them. Stop plenty. That was a weird thing to say. And then onto the drivetrain. This is a microshift drivetrain. I wanted to go 1x10 on this build because I wanted to have range, but I also didn't want anything kind of too much going on. And I quite like 1xs. And the future of this bike is going to be a bit more kind of like off-roady, so it kind of made sense to have it on there for now. And then the wheels. Currently this Maxxis DTH on here, but I will change them. And then the bar. The bar is this Richie Coyote bar. It's a kind of touring bike packing bar, which I've used on another build already, and it's really nice. The sweep on them is really nice and quite comfortable. Then seat posts and obviously a charge spoon. I might change the colour of the charge spoon, I'm not sure yet. And then we kind of struck a problem. The BB, I was greasing it up, getting it ready to put the BB in, and then when I put the BB in, it kept catching. And every time I tried to put it in there, something wasn't quite right, and it just kept jamming. So essentially, the shell was knackered. I don't actually have a tapping tool, so it's one of those tools that you probably use once, twice a year, if that, even for someone who builds as many bikes as I do. So I decided it's probably best to go and take it to a local bike shop. I don't mind having a few of those kind of issues and problems that get me down to the local bike shop so I can support local shops. So that's what we did. So we took it for a walk, and in the sun it looked amazing. But I took it down to Leighton Bike Shack, which is in Leighton, just up the road from me, and the guys managed to get the BB tapped and ready for collection on the same day, which was amazing. Side note, not having pedals stops them from shinning you when you're walking with a bike, so that's cool. And there you go, perfect. I can now put the BB in. You can probably notice I'm using a different BB now. I decided to use a different crank set by the time I got home, and now I'm using a race face crank that you'll see in a second. But also had to fiddle about with spaces for a little while. But here it is. This is a crank that I bought ages ago. Another one of those parts that's just been sat there waiting to be used. So yeah, I think it looks pretty good. It did have this self-tapping, self-extracting bolt on the actual crank. So I made sure to grease it before I put it back in there. That's what I'm messing about with at the moment. And it also had some like spacers, little washers like this that I kept forgetting to put back in. So yeah, that's why I'm faffing with it. For the chain, I bought this very fancy looking 10-speed black titanium chain because oh my god, those grams are going to count, aren't they? But I've got a question for you. Do you clean your new chains? I've been using this Fenwick's foaming chain cleaner for all my chain cleaning needs. Not a sponsor. And it foams up like this, which is like whippy cream or something. It's so satisfying. Even better in slow-mo. And then I literally just massage it into the chain. But yeah, I've been using this for a little while now. But the reason I say it is the fact that new chains, when they arrive, they have an oil on them that's just to protect them from corroding when they're being shipped and traveling. That's no good when you're on a drivetrain, so you want to get that cleaned off. It's super sticky stuff. You don't want it. This is the first time in my life that I've actually had a decent chain cutter. It's one of those tools that you don't realise how important it is until you get a decent one. But this one, like, it just feels so much nicer and doesn't bend anything. It's great. This is probably the first time in ages I've linked the chain and not dropped it in the process, so that was pretty exciting. Next is on to shifters and brakes. The shifter is the Microshift Pro shifter. It's got a bit of rubber on the grip. It does feel lighter as well when you're shifting, which is quite cool. And then these purple Tektro levers that I've had for a while, and then my current go-to grips, which are the Death Grips by DMR. I also like the fact that the Death Grips, the little metal sleeve, you can pull that off and put a different colour on. So I put a silver one on to match the bars. I do actually change it to gold later, but for now it's silver. Then onto the cables and brakes. You probably noticed there's been a bit of a jump there. Essentially, on the day that I was doing this, it was like thunderstorms, but it was like a 5-minute downpour, and then it was like sunny for an hour or two. So this is kind of all a bit jumpy, but essentially all I did was cable everything up, get the brakes all sorted, and well, that was it really. That was the end of the build. Well, I guess we should move on to the part that we're all here for. Let's go and stare at it. And that's the end of the build. This is probably one of the prettiest bikes I've made for a while. A lot of my bikes have that nice kind of crusty touch to it. This one is gleaming. I don't often make bikes with silver components either, so the shine that comes off it and the T-cut on the frame is just, it's nice. But this is the bike that I'm going to be riding 100 miles on next weekend. I've been riding it a little bit, and I say a little bit, I've been riding it non-stop, and I'm still not quite sure on the stem length. I do want to try a riser stem on it. I've tried a shorter stem. The next stem I want to try is a riser stem, but it needs a little tweaking. If I was just using it for commuting and stuff, I'd probably just use it as it is, but I feel like I need every chance I can get with the 100 miles. So yeah, we've got a little bit of tweaking to do. I will make a ride day video, hopefully, depending on how it goes. If I really struggle, which I probably will, I might not want to make a lot of videos, so I might just do a recap afterwards, but I want to try and do a video so I can share the experience with you guys. But I'll probably do a bike check on the day so you can see how I've set it up ready. I've ordered some new tyres as well because I wanted something slick, and I think that's about it. So we'll see. If you'd like to support me for this ride, I am taking charity donations. There's a link in the description below. But if you want to support the channel, there's also some new stickers available on the website at saveoldbikes.com. So please go and check that out. But if you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more of this, we do have more builds coming, like constantly. There's always at least 1 or 2 coming a month, which is quite good. Feel free to subscribe, that's the word I'm looking for. Subscribe to the channel, and if you can't wait till next week's video, check that one out. That one is a very popular one, and I think you'll like it.